I want you to meet two drivers in my yard. They are both 45 years old. They live in the same kind of semi-detached suburb, and they drive the exact same shifts for the same haulage firm. They earn almost exactly the same basic pay, somewhere around 50,000 pounds a year. From the outside, their lives look completely identical. Same dirty high-vis jackets, same tired smiles at the end of a brutal Tuesday, and same faded lunchboxes sitting on the passenger seats of their Arctics. Now fast forward 22 years, both of them are 67. One of them, Big Dave, wakes up on a weekday with absolutely nowhere he has to be. He checks his banking app, sees his investment account quietly refilling itself, and spends the morning deciding which of his grandkids to visit. The other bloke, Gaz, is still setting his alarm for 3 in the morning. He is still doing mental math on whether his clapped-out Ford Focus can survive another MOT and still feeling that familiar tight knot in his stomach every time a bill lands in his letterbox. Same starting salary, same yard. So what on earth happened in between? The fork in that road did not appear in their 60s when the difference finally became visible to everyone. It didn't even appear in their 50s. The decisions that split those two futures apart were made in a single, ordinary, easy-to-sleepwalk-through decade, the 40s. Most blokes treat their 40s as the calm middle of the story, the part where you can just put the cruise control on and coast. But that assumption is exactly what quietly wrecks so many retirements in this country. Your 40s are not the middle of the race. They are the hinge that the whole door swings on. The reason your 40s matter more than your 20s has almost nothing to do with willpower and almost everything to do with simple arithmetic. Specifically, the arithmetic of time. When your savings grow, they do not grow in a straight line. They grow in a curve because the gains you earn start earning gains of their own. There is a simple shortcut for understanding this called the rule of 72. You take 72, divide it by your annual return, and the answer tells you roughly how many years it takes your money to double. At a 7% average return in a diversified index fund, 72 divided by 7 is about 10, so your money doubles roughly every decade. A pound you invest at 45 has about 22 years before the state pension age of 67. In that window, it can double once, then double again, and then start working on a third double. But a pound you invest at 55 has only about 12 years. It barely manages one full double before you need it. The pound is identical, but the outcome is completely different because of the decade you let it start working. Imagine you commit to investing 500 quid a month at that 7% return. If you begin at 45, that steady habit grows to roughly 312,000 pounds by retirement. But say you wait. Life is busy, the kids need braces, and you tell yourself you'll start once things settle down. You finally begin at 55 instead. Same 500 a month, same discipline. By 67, you land at just 112,000 pounds. That 10-year delay in your 40s didn't just cost you 10 years of contributions, it cost you 200,000 pounds of pure compound growth. Your 20s had more time, yes, but you almost certainly had less money to put to work. Your 50s have the money, but the clock has shortened to the point where compounding can no longer rescue a late start. Your 40s are the rare, beautiful overlap of real income and real time in the same hand. But before we talk about what to do with that overlap, we have to be honest about where most people actually stand at 45. The average retirement pot in the UK is shockingly low. The median pension balance for people in their late 40s is under £30,000. Half of the drivers in your yard have even less than that. So if you feel behind, stop panicking. You are not uniquely behind. You are normally behind. The difference between Dave and Gaz was never about who started ahead. It was about who decided in their 40s to stop drifting. Your 40s are usually your peak earning years. You have the experience to command a better wage, and the pay slip feels genuinely substantial. You would think that would make saving easy, but in practice, the opposite tends to happen because of lifestyle creep. You get a pay rise, so the nicer car on finance seems reasonable. The mortgage on a bigger house feels doable. The kids start activities, and suddenly your life consumes every single pound the new salary brings in. The income went up, but the margin did not. Lifestyle creep is dangerous because it disguises itself as success. Driving a nicer motor feels like progress, but nobody looks at their upgraded car and thinks, I just traded 10 years of retirement for these heated leather seats. In the UK, the workplace pension match is the single clearest case of free money you will ever see. When your company says they will match your pension contributions up to a certain percentage of your pay, that is an instant return you cannot get anywhere else on earth. Yet, a shocking number of drivers leave part of it uncollected because they set their contribution rate years ago and never looked at it again. Walking past your full match is not being neutral. It is taking a pay cut you volunteered for. The drivers who retire comfortably are the ones who let their contributions rise slowly over time using automatic escalation. They set their pension rate to go up by just 1% each year. You barely feel that 1% in your weekly payslip, but over 20 years, it builds a massive nest egg. And having that nest egg, having a SIPP or a stocks and shares ISA, sitting at 200,000 pounds in your 50s, buys you something money cannot buy. It buys you the power of no. When the transport manager tells you to do a dodgy run or push your hours, you don't have to swallow it because you are terrified of losing your job. The psychology of a bloke who can walk away is entirely different from the bloke who is trapped. The fork between those two futures was never about who earned the most. It was about whether you treated your 40s like the calm middle of the story or like the hinge it actually is. If this gave you a bit of a wake-up call about your own hinge decade, drop a like on the video, mate. Subscribe for more real talk and honest stories from the UK tarmac. And let me know in the comments, are you currently in the hinge decade? And what is your plan to widen the gap? Stay disciplined, protect your time, and keep the shiny side up. Over and out.